Hey everyone, Emroy here. You're watching Emroy TV, the place to be to learn strategies on living your highest potential through the mind, body, and spirit, all while having fun. And today, we're going to be talking about the ego. The ego. The ego. Yeah, we all have one whether we know about it or not. The Dalai Lama had one, Gandhi has one, we all know Kanye West has one, and hell, even Mother Teresa had one. So what differentiates them between me, you, and everyone else? It's their spiritual muscle to act on their higher self, their true potential, and not identify themselves with their ego. Just like when you go to the gym to work out your muscles and get in shape, the same thing goes for our spirituality. One of my favorite authors and speakers, Dr. Dyer, describes the ego as this: no one has ever seen the face of ego. It's like a ghost that we accept as a controlling influence on our lives. I look upon the ego as nothing more than an idea that each of us have about ourselves. The ego is only an illusion, but a very influential one. Letting the ego illusion become your identity can prevent you from knowing your true self. Ego, the false idea of you are what you have or what you do. It's a backwards way of assessing and living life. Another one of my favorite authors and speakers, Marianne Williamson, describes the ego as this: the ego is suspicious at best and vicious at worst. Do not underestimate the power of the ego. So what the heck is the ego? The ego is nothing more than a dream of who you really are. It's a series of beliefs that we've constructed as our worldview, our own reality. For every light, there's a shadow, so do we identify ourselves with our light or with our shadows? You see, the ego has been with us from the moment we were able to think for ourselves. It's this voice telling us these false messages about who we really are, what's going to make us happy, and pushes us into the trap of self-absorption. I'm not just talking about being egomaniacal and being super self-absorbed. I'm talking about always wanting to be right and always wanting to look good in front of others. And at the end of it, we always seem to find ourselves frustrated, not knowing that we need to get over this identity of who we think we are. How many opportunities have we passed up and lost because we've said things like, I don't look stupid, I'm right, they're wrong, I don't think I'm good enough, what are they going to say about me? This is the voice of your ego using fear to hold you back. And no one does a better job at holding ourselves back than we do. Our true self doesn't identify itself with the external. It's really a force of God or any higher power that you believe in that really exists within us. The Tibetan book of Living and Dying says this: two people have been living inside you all your life. One is the ego, garrulous, demanding, hysterical, calculating. The other is a hidden spiritual being, whose still voice of wisdom you have only rarely heard or attended to. So how do you know when it's God or your higher self or your ego that's really talking to you? If it were easy as telling you as your ego sounds like Willem Dafoe and your higher self or the voice of God sounds like Alicia Keys, then I tell you exactly that. But that's not the case. Like I said, the voice of your ego or the voice of God or your higher self sounds exactly like you. And when we learn how to break through these illusions created by the ego, a whole new world can open up for us. The tricky part is knowing when we're coming from ego. So here's a simple way that I started processing to know when I'm starting to come from ego. And it's not always going to be easy, but this is something that's been working for me and I want to share it with you. First, am I trying to look right or look good? And I'm not talking about being wrong or dressing down. I'm talking about pointing fingers so I'm not the one to blame. I know I'm coming from ego the minute I start pointing fingers at other people saying that it's your fault or you're whatever to blame. But when I take the current situation or whatever is told to me as information as a way to respond to what the moment truly needs from me, then that's an act of the higher potential. Second is become aware. You hear me say that a lot. Every morning I meditate and journal so I can become more aware of all the thoughts that are going inside my head. It's different from thinking that you know what you're thinking compared to actually seeing it on paper. And I view this as my spiritual gym to really help me out throughout the day. And number 3, practice it. Again, the whole point of being able to practice this whole spirituality thing is so we can apply it to everyday life. And it's a practice because, let's face it, I'm human too. I still get angry, I still point fingers, but through this practice I've been giving a much better understanding of myself and a lot more compassion for others. Now, today's topic was a bit lengthy and a bit more beyond of what I normally talk about, and I hope you guys liked it. Now, I would love to hear from you guys. What's your biggest takeaway from today's video? Is there a moment that you can recall that you noticed that you're coming from your ego? Head on over to the blog and share your wisdom. And while you're at it, make sure you subscribe to the free newsletter so I can hook you up with insight and more beyond Emerald TV. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit like, subscribe to the channel, and share this with a friend who you think might benefit from it. And remember, we're all called to greatness, whether it's the lowest point of our lives or highest point in our lives. From moment to moment, we're all a choice from living our highest potential. And at the end of the day, it's up to us to choose. Thank you guys for watching Emerald TV, and I'll catch you guys next time. And when we learn how to break through these illusions, and when we learn how to break through these illusions, and when we learn how to break